Super Centex After Dark. We got a lot of mood lighting going on. I feel like I should turn my lights down to join the club here. But
Well, I have to be tracking the Arizona State Arizona game,
yeah,
right? That's why I'm in the living room.
gotcha.
Uh,
Makes sense. Makes
yeah,
sense.
it's if Arizona wins, the Red Raiders start with the Big 12 championship berth in their back pocket tomorrow.
Nice.
So anyway, but I'm in the living room. I like my living room,
It looks
very smartly decorated
it looks
with
good.
with a lot of fine art and pictures. This is my
Uh,
best Donald Trump impression.
good stuff. Let's start with Michael since he's the furthest out. So it was. I want to say it was like, was it 6-6 at one point or something?
Six to six at the half.
Okay. And then la-vega wins what, 33-6?
33 to 6. So
Yeah.
what is that?
Wow.
27 unanswered points.
Getting it done
19
in the
of
second
those, yeah.
half.
19 of those came in that third quarter. And it's funny, like I think we've kind of beaten this dead horse all year, and I guess maybe for multiple years when it comes to La Vega and just never being satisfied. I think we've talked about that 100 times now, and um, but the lead to my story was like, even though that's kind of a given, like Don Hyde felt like he had kind of an extra reason to kind of get into his kids a little bit. He really kind of ripped them after the game. And basically what he was frustrated with, and the players were too. It wasn't just like he was the only one upset after that game. Like they wanted to get off to a quicker start, and he was basically like, look, it's the third round of the playoffs. Like if you're not ready to play, like that's an easy way to, be headed home with a loss, like because the expectation is there. The expectation there is to, chart a deep playoff run.
Mm.
And they were able to get it done, but it did take a little bit to kind of, jump start. I would say the offense in particular just needed a little jump start. It also doesn't help when you are driving on that first drive. You get down to I think the 6 and they fumble right at the goal line. That's not a good way to, start the game, I guess either. But I will say, look, there were 14-mile-per-hour winds at kickoff, so
Mm.
that played a factor. La Vega has certainly tried to air it out more this year, so it wasn't as easy for them to maybe do that. And la-marque is also a good football team. Like it was never going to be easy from the outset, but I think that second half proved to you that like, hey, when La Vega can get rolling, this is a different team. And
Well, I love the mentality of keeping the foot on the gas,
yeah,
I
I agree.
mean, you can't just pat yourself on the back and say we beat a good football team. You have to find
Yeah,
something to keep you moving because it's a 6 week road, right?
it is.
And
It is.
but to your point on weather, it was a crazy weather night, wasn't it?
It really well, and I'm sure we'll get into that more with you guys, but I'll just say a couple more things about this game
Hmm.
because I do think the weather played a factor, but I want to give some shout outs to La Vega for not only combating it well but capitalizing on it. And I don't want to say the kid's name, but so this poor la-marque punter, dude, like I don't want to like. There's never like one person who maybe loses a game or whatever, but like I can't begin to explain how rough the punting was for la-marque.
Mm.
And that is a huge reason why La Vega was able to kind of just like bam, bam, bam in that third quarter, run away with it. Here, I'm gonna read this off to you guys. He had like he had one punt in the first half that was not good. It was one of those that just goes straight up. And then when you're kicking straight up and there's wind howling at you, it's not
Hmm.
going to go anywhere. But he had
Hmm.
5 punts tonight. They went for an average of 13 yards. Um,
Mm.
and his longest one was technically a 20-yard punt. It ended in a touchback. So it went from like the 45 to the 20 or whatever, I guess. I can't remember how exactly it worked, but it was like a 20-yard punt. And he also had punts of 18, 13, 8, and 7 yards. And
Yikes.
several of those single digit ones, guys, were in that third quarter. And La Vega was just bam, score right after. And it's just like, oh, so when not only can your offense not get anything going, but you're putting your defense in a bind by giving yourself by giving the other team a short field. And La Vega, to its credit, made the plays that mattered in that third quarter and just they just ran away with it. And then one other thing I'll say real quick before we get to another game. I've been high on some of these freshmen at la-vega and some of these younger ones.
Yeah, you
Edison
sent us
King,
that text. I was dealing with other
dude.
things, but I couldn't get to it.
Oh, watch the video.
Hmm.
So Edison King is just a monster. I still haven't gotten a chance to talk to him. I was looking for him after the game. I guess he scurried off. But Edison King had another monster game as a defensive lineman. Multiple. I think he had at least 2 sacks. I know for sure he had one. And he's just living in the backfield getting TFLs. And then Josh Majors, their running back. He kind of burst onto the scene last. He's a freshman as well. He burst onto the scene last week. He kind of exploded for like a 68-yard touchdown in that win last week. He had a 45-yard touchdown tonight, and he was their leading running back. He looked pretty good. I mean, he's not huge. He's kind of Bryson Rowland-esque, but he's shifty, and it just I can't wait to see these kids continue to grow up. I mean, they're really good.
Did you have a Don Hyde story for us?
Oh, yeah. I'll say this pretty quick. I should have asked him about this, by the way. I have never seen this before in my life. So la-marque is kind of near midfield. This is in the second half. la-marque throws its quarterback, sophomore quarterback, kind of throws lofts one down to the end zone. It goes way out of the end zone, so it's not catchable. But la-vega's DB kind of tripped up one of their receivers, and so they throw a flag, and call pass interference. And Don Hyde is just like on the field pointing at the back judge, like, no, it is like he's going like this. It's not catchable. It's not catchable. You can't throw the flag. Like there was no, even if he wasn't tripped, he couldn't have gotten that. And so he ends up calling a timeout. And I swear I should have asked him about this because they go in. It's a long timeout. I was able to use the restroom in the middle of this. It was a long timeout. He is chirping at these refs and just getting into them. They come back out and they picked up the flag. I swear to you, they pick up the flag, replay it. A similar play happens and no flag is thrown. And so like the Cougars broadcast is right next to me and they're like, I guess they're scared of the visiting coach. They're not going to throw the flag. And I'm like, to be fair, neither of them were catchable.
I
So
bet the
like Don Hyde
fans,
was
I bet
right.
the la-marque fans were livid. I
Oh,
mean, I could
they
just
were.
hear
And
them
look,
yelling,
and look, the game was kind of low key already out of hand at this point. Like they were not going to have a chance. But still, yes, they were frustrated, and it was hilarious. I've never seen like a coach be able to kind of get his way on that. And what he must have told them, they picked up the flag and it worked. But I don't know. Have you guys seen like a play get picked up after a
No,
timeout and
not
then
often. Not often.
not in high school? It basically served as like a challenge. I've never
you
seen that.
can, you can, uh, you can ask questions in such a way, and
Yeah.
I don't think Don was out there making polite inquiries, but you
No.
can ask a question in such a way, and the official goes and asks the other official, and the other official goes, "Well,
Hmm.
yeah," and then they have to think about the rules. They have to think about what's fair. Last year in the state semifinal, when Hamilton played Sanford,
Yeah.
the one of the coaches, it escapes my memory which coach said, he was like, well, blah 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 blah, and so the refs came and met together and they decided that he was right, and then the other coach was like, well, what about blah 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 blah, and so they met together again, and like I said, I don't remember the circumstances, but it was kind of a fiasco, I guess is the nicest
Yeah.
way to say it, because of the referees were letting themselves be swayed one way or another, and I'm sure that the
Yeah.
la-marque coaches were furious as well tonight. But
I have no idea.
Well, it
It
doesn't sound like that one play decided, or that one flag
did
decided
not.
the game. So,
No.
uh, well, good for la-vega. I feel like, and this is another thing we've probably talked about a lot, but um, I feel like la-vega's been playing playoff games since week one.
Oh, they have.
Just with their schedule that they play, and now they get West Orange Stark, who they've already played, beating them 44-20 back, in non-district.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
not only that, Bryce, but this will be the fourth time they're going to see them since the start of last season. They
That's
played each other
crazy.
twice last year.
Wow.
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah. So nothing Don Hyde's team's not familiar with. All right. Since we started, Zach has joined us.
What's up, Zach?
What's
going
up?
on? Watching
What's up,
some
man?
Longhorns beat the Aggies. I'm sure you already talked
Oh,
about that, but
We
we
actually
actually
haven't
haven't
talked
brought that
about
up.
that.
No. No.
All we've talked about is Michael's game, but Chad talked a little bit about how he's watching the Arizona
I'm
State.
watching Arizona State. I don't
Yeah.
know how. I thought Arizona just scored a touchdown. I don't know how that wasn't a touchdown.
it was short. Jeff Sims for Arizona State. I mean, he's when you have Jeff Sims as your quarterback, I think you're kind of screwed, but
All right.
whatever.
So, Zach, I want to hear your impressions of your first six-man game that you've
First
ever.
six-man game. All right.
Yeah, right.
That's
It was
it's a big deal.
well, this is gonna sound bad, but it reminded me of like the game, you know how after Thanksgiving dinner you go out and just play with your family and you just kind
That's
of
what
throw the
six-man
ball
football
around.
is like.
Yeah, it's
That's
just
pretty much
like
it.
controlled chaos. Like it's just chaos and my stat sheet is absolute chaos. Like I know who scored, but I can't tell you how many yards they threw for or ran for or any of it. So apologies to that, but um, certainly Vanguard knew what they were doing because it was 14-14 at the half. Things were they really couldn't move the ball in the first half. Vanguard couldn't. But then, coming out of halftime, they just kind of found another gear. They opened the second half. They got an interception, scored, recovered an onside kick, and scored, and really just controlled everything in the second half. Almost 45 them. Is that the term,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And missed a 2 point extra point with like 3 minutes left. So they won by 44.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, so it was, Braylon Shupak, right? I think that's
Mm-hmm.
how you say his last
Mhm.
name.
Yep.
He had three passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown. He returned an interception for a touchdown.
He's a
And
dude.
yeah, yeah. So it was I just they're a really good story. I talking to their coach about how a couple of years ago they had to forfeit halfway through the season, went winless, and now this group is in the state final
Mm-hmm.
where, they're gonna get um Houston Baptist or sorry, Pasadena Baptist
Pasadena, First Baptist, yeah.
Thursday at 11 a.m. at Waco ISD
Waco
Stadium. And
ISD.
it's yeah, so it was just kind of a second half surge that just kind of carried them past Coram Dio. It's the second time they beat Coram Dio this year.
Mhm.
And yeah, yeah. So it was a good game, entertaining,
Yeah.
uh, just kind
The
of like I
Vikings,
said,
baby.
chaos. It was fun, but
Well, I'm glad you can now call yourself a six-man veteran.
That's right.
So Vanguard opened in 1973. Great year, by the way. Excellent year. Um, only good things came out of 73. Um, and if you ever go into their gym over there, you'll see a buttload of banners. Like they have had a lot of athletic success in a lot of sports. The football program is one of their youngest programs. I mean, it started in the early 2010s, and this is their first trip to a state championship game in football. So,
I
Wow.
remember back when I was in high school when Holland Gummel and Katie 10 were leading them to girls basketball state
yeah,
championships.
yeah,
Katie 10 is the mother of Harper Haas, who is now a
Yeah,
Baylor softball player.
there you go.
that's right. There you go.
Girls you know from Vanguard.
Vanguard, yeah.
Uh, so anyway, all that to say, big time stuff for Vanguard and
Hmm.
just a really good year for private school six-man
Valor,
football
yeah,
in
and
Waco
Wind,
because Valor,
yeah.
Vanguard, both going to play for state titles next Thursday at Waco ISD. You have Texas Wind playing tomorrow for a
Hmm.
state title, and you've already had Waco Christian win one. Um,
Yeah,
so
Big private season.
yeah,
no
baby.
kidding. No kidding.
We are on After Dark.
After dark,
That's right.
baby.
That's
All
right.
right, Mr. Privates. You had the Axtell De Leon game,
The
and
yeah,
Is
it
it
was
is it still going
started
on,
sometime
Chad?
on Wednesday. It just finished
Yeah, I was
about
about to
10
say.
minutes ago.
Yeah. Is it still going?
long
Now,
lightning
okay,
delay.
so obviously two weather delays tonight. I don't know. I mean, one weather delay is enough, to have two of them is whew.
Yeah.
But I actually, just so I could be on the podcast, I went ahead and drove home, listened to Ward White call the end of it on ESPN radio. When I left, it was 27-12, Axtell with 6 minutes left. However, Levi Leathers was on the sideline, and I wanted to kind of mention this has been a little bit of a rough postseason for us. We get Marnico Thomas going out for Chilton. Bryce, you
Hmm.
said Tank was suited up
Yeah,
but
I'll
did
get
not
to
play.
that. But yeah, he didn't play tonight. Tank Scott didn't play tonight
Wow.
for Bremond.
And now Levi Leathers uh, comes out of the game with about 9 minutes left against DeLeon, really favoring, I believe, his right leg, and it looked like a kind of a rolled ankle. I listened to the post game with ESPN radio, and Coach Horn said if he just said if Levi can't go, we'll get AJ Fetch ready to go at quarterback. Obviously, they've experienced a lot of unfortunately, revolving door at quarterback over the last couple of seasons, and they've been able to
Hmm.
overcome it. They're playing in the regional final for the second straight year.
Hmm.
But so, but to get back to the kind of the flow of the game, Axel wins. I don't know if I said that specifically, but Axel won 27-18, and that sets up a rematch with Hamilton next weekend, next week. Regional final for the second straight year between the Bulldogs and Longhorns.
And I want to say maybe the third straight year they've played in playoffs.
Okay,
I want to
yeah,
say they played in by district a couple
that
of times.
sounds right. Um, but the first weather delay happens 2.5 hours. I went to a little Mexican food restaurant I know because that stadium is my parents' neighborhood, more or less, So I went and had a taco, posted a picture of that on Twitter, came back. They resumed, play the final 2 minutes of the second quarter, starting about 8 o'clock. Then just rolled right into the third quarter, which was a blessing. Um, Neither team scored in that little sequence at the end of the second. Then Levi Leathers makes the first key play of the game with an interception of De Leon quarterback Heston Job and returns it to the 24-yard line or 22-yard line. One loss of 2 yards. And then on second down, Levi finds a crease, goes 24 yards for a touchdown. So now Axel's up 14-6. Uh, they get another huge play on defense as Corbin Tucker took a pick six, 25 yards for a touchdown. So now they're up 21-6 and in control. They would have. I don't think they would have been able to run out the clock before the second weather delay. If Levi hadn't gotten hurt, but that's when it came with them up 27-6. Now on the first play after he hops off, AJ Fetch runs in 12 yards 12 yards for a touchdown. So now it's 27-6, and they're in control now. It got kind of dangerous. De Leon scored a touchdown, and then they got a turnover and had the ball in Axel territory when that dreaded yellow light at the end of the stadium went off again. Everybody starts leaving the field. It's like, we've already done this. We're not going to do it again. But it was legit lightning. There was a bolt as I was walking to my car, just right down pretty close to the stadium. So, better safe than sorry, I guess.
Uh, well, good for Axtell. It was not 2 years ago that they played. It was 3 years ago, 2022. They met Axtell and Hamilton in the second round of the playoffs. Hamilton won. So yeah, I mean they're familiar playoff opponents. 3 of the last 4 years now. So that'll be fun to have two Central Texas teams. We know we're guaranteed to have a Central Texas team in the state
State
semifinals.
semifinals.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that'll be
And
good.
similar to your game, Bryce, you also had two local teams. So
I did have two local teams. Good segue there. Nicely done, Michael. Let me just start by saying yes, Tank Scott did not play. Um, I do my stat sheet uh, and a lot of times I'll write down a few guys in there beforehand that Sam Kozlowski's the quarterback or whatever. Uh, and I had put T. Scott. Well, I didn't have to scratch it out because I just went with Tyreek Scott instead. But yeah, I'm sitting there going, like early in the game, I wasn't really phased. But then, as stuff went on, it was like, where's Tank? Like, why isn't Tank carry the ball yet? And I look and I see him there, and he's on the sideline. He's in full uniform, um, just standing there. There were a few times he was kind of standing off by himself, um, and I was like, man, what's the deal? And nobody in the press box really seemed to know. Um, but I talked to Coach Kosowski after the game, and he rolled his ankle last week in their win over Grapeland. And I mean, that was a game he had like 190 something yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns, and typical Tank game. Um, and they could have used him tonight against Mart. Like, it was so 0 points in the first quarter, 0 points in the third quarter, 0 points in the fourth quarter.
They did
Uh,
all their scoring in the second.
all the points were in the second quarter. 17,
Wow.
17-6 final.
Did Coach Kozlowski give any kind of indication that it's
Yes, I
maybe?
should mention that he's hoping to have him back next week against Mount Enterprise.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
Hopeful.
They're going to need him. They're going to need him
Yeah,
on both sides.
yeah,
In that one, they'll for sure need him.
absolutely. Um, as far as the story of the game, so I mean, just you can figure out it was a defensive game. Both defenses really showed up and showed out, and just were flying around. I think I had a stat in the story that said out of the first like 38 combined plays, only one went for 10 yards. And that one went for exactly 10 yards. Like, it was just a lot of like bottling each other up. It was like two teams that really knew each other. And so eventually Bremond gets a touchdown. They go up 7-0 in the second quarter. And Eddie Carrizales, their kicker, on the ensuing kickoff. So Bremond likes to do kind of a squib kick down the field. That's they don't really kick it deep. They kick the squibber, and he kicked the crap out of it, and it bounces off of a Mark guy right back to Eddie Carrizales. It was like the most unreal onside kick ever. And so Bremont gets the ball back, and they went down and kicked a field goal. Eddie Carrizales got the field goal. So it was the Eddie Carrizales drive, but yeah, now it's 10-0. So if you're Mart, you're kind of feeling a little snake bit. Well, they did bounce back. Ahmad Scott had a nice kickoff return. There was a face mask on that kickoff return. So then they score, and it's 10-6. They got the extra point blocked. And you're thinking, okay, 10-6, we keep it right here, and we got a ball game. Bremont gets the ball with like 3 minutes left in the half, and they just dinked and dunked and dinked and dunked and got down the field in 3 minutes and scored with like 8 seconds left in the half. And now it's 17-6 at halftime, and that was a big one, obviously. I mean, ultimately, 10-6 would have won it, but yeah, talked to both coaches after the game. Lancaster obviously said, we hurt ourselves offensively with our turnovers. They turned it over a couple more times in the second half. Um, and but he likes where the direction they're going. Um, Jeff Kozowski knows they've got a chore in front of him next week against Mount Enterprise. Kagan Ash is a beast, and
Mm-hmm.
now Bremont beat him last year, 26-20.
That's
But
true.
he did say last year Mount Enterprise ran the slot T, and this year they're running that spread, and I think Ash is getting more yards than ever, really. So,
Yeah.
um,
I've got a
go
question
ahead.
for you though. So with Tank out, and I think we kind of overlooked Sam Kozlowski a little bit. I mean, he's coach's kid, and I interviewed him before the season. Really smart kid, sophomore. Should be coming into his own as the leader of the offense. But when I saw him play Mart, he was more of a facilitator. What did he do tonight for him?
I would say similar to what a facilitator. Like
Hmm.
also he took a shot and his knee kind of rolled up and they
Mm.
took him out for at least a play or two. Ran the Wildcat. So yeah, they're banged up. Bremond's banged up now. Everybody is at this time of year, but
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
um, I will give a shout out. I thought besides Bremond's defense, Tyreek Scott uh, did a good job. I said in my story he did a reasonable Tank Scott impression. Um, that may be a little high praise. He ends up with 170
Yeah.
yards and a
Yeah,
That's
touchdown,
pretty good.
yeah.
but 56 of it came on one play. That was the one big play of the game where he kind of broke one and didn't score. But yeah, so it was a lot of 3 and 4 and 5 and 2 and that kind of night. But did a good job and he carried it like 33 times. So they leaned on him a lot. Um,
And you mentioned, Martin and Lancaster moving in the right direction. They really deserve a shout out for,
yes.
finishing fourth and getting to the third round of the playoffs. And for a minute tonight, when you texted us the tank wasn't playing, I thought, well, here we go again.
Yeah,
March
and
maybe
it
going to
was
the
there
regional
for the
finals.
taking for Mart. I mean, that's why I
Hmm.
think they're frustrated because,
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
they played Bremond as good as anyone all season. Nobody else has even played them close.
Hmm.
But Mart's played 2 close games with them, and yeah, I mean, if they could have avoided some turnovers and a silly, crazy onside kick that you just can't even expect happening, but yeah, I mean, it was a tough night for Mart, but they'll be back. Let's talk about a couple other games before we get out of here. So it looks like Pottsboro and Whitney are still in a delay.
Still in a delay. Last I saw on X when I
Wow.
looked right before we got on, or maybe
Thirty-four
while we were on.
twenty-seven Pottsboro in the fourth.
Well, that was northeast of where I was, and everything where it was where I was moving that way.
Mm,
You
Mm.
know, so
yeah. We mentioned Hamilton and Axtell will play each other. Hamilton gets a nice win over Price Carlisle tonight. Um,
Nice.
Yeah, end of the road for the Aquila Cougars. Great season for Aquila, but
Hmm.
they lost 82-32 to Union Hill. Oglesby plays tomorrow. We mentioned the Vanguard win and the Valor. Valor also will play next Thursday at Waco SD for state. And then finally, tomorrow, as we mentioned, Texas Wind. Michael will be down there for that one, covering a little homeschool 6-man football.
I don't I don't think I've ever covered homeschool 6-man football. I've covered 6-man football, but not homeschool.
Brian
So
Coates covered Texas Wind in a game earlier this year for us and loved it. Had a great time. So
I'm excited. It'll be
yeah,
fun.
yeah, um, yeah. So we'll have more games to talk about next week. But anything else y'all want to say before we get out of here?
I
happy
think so.
Thanksgiving. You
Yeah,
know,
happy Thanksgiving.
I feel like there's been Thanksgiving Fridays when I did 2 games. When I crisscrossed the
Hmm.
That's
Metroplex and
true.
did a couple of games, and tonight I did like 3/4 of one. So
So you're really falling down on the job.
I feel like I slacked off a little bit, but hey, you know,
We gave Zach a nice afternoon game, let him get back in time to watch the Aggies and the Longhorns. I saw enough of that game. I saw most of it. So
Got
hey,
some kolaches. It's great.
oh yeah, yeah.
Lucky.
you had
Lucky.
you had to go through West to get to Abbott. So
Hmm.
Hmm.
good
Hmm.
stuff. All right. Well, we'll talk more next week, but appreciate y'all. See ya.